Hey, what's up guys? So welcome back to another tutorial. So in this video I'm going to explain to you about how to search a product, right? So here down here you see we have 6 products, but depending on how many product that you have, you can add up into your database, and you can dynamically display it here, and you can search the products as much as you want, right? So I'm using Laravel here, and we are using Ajax, so we don't need any page refreshing here. So let's suppose if I want to search here banner stands, and all I do is I just write as much the words which matches. So if I write only B here, you see the both two words match with B, right? So you can see here the banner stands and the brochures. So as long as I can search more identical, and I can simply click on here, and you see, let's want to do that again, I believe. Okay, I click on the banner stands, and now if I click on the submits button, it's gonna put me there to the detail page for the products, right? So it's very important, and I think so this is gonna be very much helpful for you when you have multiple projects, or you are working with your e-commerce project. So that's where you can be where you need to have your search on the top, right? So we are using autocomplete, we are using search, and as well as we are working with the product detail, and everything you see on this page, it's all dynamically dynamically displayed from the database, and as long as we are adding up on into our database, we can see the products here. So depending on how much products that you have added, right? So I hope you guys will enjoy this tutorial. So let's jump in and get started. Alright guys, so the first thing you need to do is to install your Laravel project. So if you are very beginner for the Laravel tutorial, all you need to do is to go to your htdocs folder inside your XAMPP, and you need to click on your git bash here. If you have installed, that want to be good, because this can really help you to open any file location, any current open file location. You can easily do that, right? So all you need to do is to simply type here composer create dash project Laravel / Laravel, and after that the name of the project that you want to install, right? So in my case, it's the Laravel dash search dash Ajax dash products, but you can name it anything, right? So that's all up to you. So I'm not gonna do that the installation, because I've done in my almost every video. So if you have still any confusion, you can watch my previous video, or you can run this command just for your reference, right? So this is going to be the name. Remember that this is going to be the name of your project, right? So this is the installation of the Laravel project, right? So next, after just saving some time, because I've been working, we are working dynamically, and all I'm going to do is you need to create your new database. Just click on the new, and the name of my database which is Laravel _ search, and I have created the one more table user is created by default, I believe, if I haven't created. Yeah, so I have just changed a bit some columns, but it's okay. We have no concern with the users table. We are all focused with the products table, right? So here you have to create some columns here. We have created title, we have created image, price, description, and created at updated at, which is a timestamp that which you can add up if you want, right? So we are using here I created that by using migrations. And what migrations are, it's very simple, that all you need to do is to go to your command terminal, whatever you want. You have two options. You can open up the terminal from the view, and simply click on the terminal, or you can use the git bash, which is a very good command line interface, right? So all you need to do is to simply type after that php artisan make model. We have a model with the name of product. So all you need to do is to define product and -m for migration if you want. But remember, before doing the migration, you need to go to your provider, app service provider, and just to remove that error which comes after the migration, all you need to do is to include the use illuminate sport facade schema, and after that you need to include that boot, and then after that you need to run the migrations, right? So we have the 6 products running, and just want to show you a bit changes that I have done as usual, which is a very good way of doing that. Inside resources, we have our views folder, which is created by default. But inside views, we have created another folder with the name of layouts, and inside layouts, I created a file with the name of master.blade.php. And the reason why I did that, because always the file which we include in the other files, we create a master file and we inherit it, or we can extend it in the other file, so that we don't continuously repeating the meta structure or the meta name, right? The head tags or the footer tags. So that's the good way, right? So the first thing I'm going to do here is to exclamation mark and a tab. That's going to create a very basic HTML structure, right? In my case, the title should be search. So we are creating a search product. So I created that, and I'm using Bootstrap here. So I'm just going to include some meta name here. So just down after the two meta tags, I'm going to create two ones. The first one, which is the CSRF underscore token. So that's basically the cross-site production token, which normally generates the random string for every submission, for every post request, right? So that's really, it's very helpful for that case. So it keeps protecting us the production, and while we are sending the Ajax request, we need some we need to include that up there, right? So later on you're gonna see that here, right? So we have our title, and also I have included the Bootstrap 4.5.2, the version that I have used in my case, right? So I also created a notification, which is the div id notif. So what actually it does, I think so in our case I don't need that, so just remove that for now, right? I want to make the things very much to the point so you guys could understand well. So next I'm using jQuery. I also include that up here. You can also get it from the code.jquery.com, and you can simply include that script here, or you can download from the code that I give in the description. Next we have we are creating a very the file for our JavaScript where we will have our Ajax request to search the products depending on, right? So this is basically, that's what we have included. And if I want to go to my public folder, I need to, inside assets, I create a folder asset. Already there is a folder with the name of images where I have my 6 product images for my path, and you can grab those same images that if you want. I want to give that all images in the git, so you can download that, or so you can keep continue with that, or you can put the images that you want for your project, right? So inside images, we have products, we have 6 images, and now I have created a file with the name of main.js. That's where we are gonna write every script, right? So inside style.css, we have to write our CSS, right? So I already created that. The only thing which I believe is missing here is to include the CSS file as well. So that's gonna include up right here. And now we need to extend our body. All I'm gonna do is to use here the yield, and inside yield I'm gonna put here the content that we wanna extend into the other files, right? So that's the first thing, right? So we are done with that. Now next I'm gonna do here inside the views, not inside the layouts folder, inside the views, that's where our master.blade.php file is. I'm going to create a file with the name of home.blade.php, and actually this is going to be the file. That's what we are going to create here, and that's where we can show all the products, right? So here I'm going to extend it, so I'm using extends. So let's going to put up here extends, and that should be a single one, right? So extend, and the name should be here is layouts, the folder that we have created, and inside a master file, that's where we have all the basic structure for the HTML. I'm going to extend it, right? So the section which we have yield inside the, and that's basically coming from the, I'm going to show you up real quick. So I end the section, and that content is coming from the master.blade.php file, right? I hope you guys could understand that, right? So because we are using Bootstrap here, so I'm using here container. I'm going a margin of empty-5, so just gonna go down at the bottom, and here I'm gonna create a row. Inside row, we have to create a call-md-6, and I want to create here is, okay, that's fine. Or you can also add some margin, and the margin should be auto, right? Inside that I have a heading h3 and set that to be and make that into the center. So I'm using a bootstrap class of text dash center, and I'm also using here margin bottom 3, right? So that's also gonna give it some space down there. And next I'm using here is okay, I'm using here enter product search, right? So that's gonna be our heading, and down here I'm also using some form dash group. So form dash group, and I also give it some more one more class for form dash box, which we are later gonna add some CSS for it. So form dash box, and I'm gonna create a text field here, right? So input type of this and the form dash control, right? So that should be form dash control, not the FI, right? So we give it the class of form dash control, and I'm also gonna give it the placeholder of enter product name. So let's give it the product name as well, and I'm gonna give it the name as well, and the name in my case should be search underscore product, depending on whatever the name you are gonna be interested with it. So let's give it the search underscore product, and I also need to give it the ID, which should be ID equal to that. All right. Okay, so we are good for now, and I also want to make that form control a bit large. So let's add another class form dash control dash LG, right? And down to it, I'm gonna create a button. So I'm just copy it from my previous code, and let's put that down there. And now we have our button type of button. I give it the ID. We have class of btn dash large for the large button, and btn dash md. I believe I need to have here btn dash md, right? So I just remove that, and the color should be primary, btn dash primary. That makes our button blue, and ml dash 4 margin left to the 4, right? So we give it the submit button. Okay, so we are done with that, and next we want to display the results. So for displaying the results, I'm gonna do here is we have created a div here with the name of product list, because every result that we want to because we want to search, and all the related result will be displayed down to this div, right? And that's what we are gonna do that later. Okay, so after these 3 divs, just inside the container, I'm gonna show my all products. So I'm gonna create a container. So let's gonna generate a container, and inside container I'm gonna create is that should be container, and I was missing container and item dash box. All right, and let's create a row here, and inside row we are using a loop. Basically these are all the product dynamically coming from the controller, but let's first create the basic card for the product. So let's create the call dash md dash 4. That's the bootstrap medium 4 size, all the depending on the size of your card, which in our case which is 4, right? So next we have our class of card, and let's gonna create that. Inside card I want to give it the width, so I'm using here style equal to. You can give it separately if you want, but I just make that outside of the box. So I want to give it the style of width, and width should be 18 rem for now. Later on we can put that into our style.css, but just for the appearance, we can just watch it later, right? We can do that later. So inside the card I'm gonna create the image. Let's gonna create the image, and source later on I want to put up here. Let's give it the class of, I'm gonna give the bootstrap class, which is card dash img dash top. So this is basically for, so your image could be shown on top of the card, and it should be class actually. Okay, so we are done for now, and let's give it the card dash body, and give it the alt of image. And after that I'll create a card dash body, and inside card dash body Let's give it the paragraph text and give it the class of card dash text, and there we should give it the card dash body. Right, so inside that we have our title. Let's give it the title here, right? And in that case, image source. But for now, because we are not dynamically accessing our image for now, because we haven't created any controller or anything which can work with that. So all I'm gonna do is to go inside the assets, and let's gonna display some image. So I'm gonna copy that up. So the path should be asset slash products. Inside we have our asset slash images slash products. So let's go into images, and we have our inside products we have our banners underscore stands.jpg. Just add up here and just to see that how it looks. Alright, so we have a title, we have our image, static image, and we have already end up a section. So all I'm gonna do is to create a controller inside app HTTP controller. We have already created a controller with the name of home controller. So in order to create that, you need to do is to create PHP artisan make controller and set that to be home controller and press enter, and you want to create a controller. So after running, as I explained you, after creating models, after creating the tables, let's gonna show you the products table, how you want to run the migration. So it's already created the ID and the timestamp if you have created a model. Rest of all these 4 columns that I have created which in my case the string type of string and the title, the name of the column, image, price, description. And after doing that, all you need to do is to run the migration by simply typing PHP artisan migrate. So once you do that and press enter, that's gonna migrate all the tables. And but you have to remember one more thing here, that inside .env, your environment file, you already created a database, and the name should be matched and the username should be root. And once you do that, then run the migration, and I hope you will guys have no error whatsoever. Alright, so let's save that and go back to your controller, which is app HTTP controller inside home controller. I'm gonna do here is let's create that, and let's do here is just close that, and let's create a function. So public function, in my case the name of the function should be index, and let's create the view, return the view. In our case is home, right? So return view, whatever the name of your whatever the page you want to return. So I return that, right? So now we have created the function, now we need to access it. So we have to create the routes. So let's go into the routes here, and we have our get request because we are accessing the view. So let's create the get request, and inside get request we have our home page, which is slash, and the first we have to create the controller, which I created, and the name of the function, which is index. Right, so I have my server running already. I believe PHP artisan serve for you running your I just created that video so you guys will be very much with me and follow along everything that I do. Alright, so you see we have our page and everything looks good. But now I need that button to be on the right, and that's fine, I believe it's good. So let's go into our, let's close all up that what we don't need for now. Close that up, we don't need our controller, we don't need our routes. So I created the class for my, I believe I created the class for my get underscore search underscore product. I gave it the ID, I give it the class for my box as well, item dash box. So let's create some style.css here, right? So I'm gonna go to my style.css, so control P, that's basically inside my public assets style.css. So let's create the form dash box. I'm using flex box here, so display flex, justify content space evenly, that's give the space evenly, and align to the center, makes everything to the center. So that's what we have used for our form dash box, and let's give it some space for it. So I give it the space of margin top of 18 pixel, and I'm using some classes which I haven't used, so just remove it for now because we have used this form dash box into our form dash group, and I need to have my I believe it should be let's go back and refresh. All right, so this looks like this, so that's awesome. So I need my search button to be right. So I will later on I will add the CSS for my drop down list once we have a once we have our autocomplete, and that's where I need to have I want to things I don't want to put everything for now because that really confuse you, so just close that for now. All right, so we are done with it. Now we need to access dynamically all the products. So I need to go to my home controller. So let's visit up the home controller, and I'm gonna create the products. So I created a products variable, and we use a model which we have created product, and we are using Eloquent that's gonna return all the products. So all the columns that we have in our database. So let's pass it to the view. So we're using width. You can use compact as well, but here I'm happy with the width. So we pass products and pass the variable. So remember, because we are using the model, so I just simply use here use app slash product. I also use DB, which later on I want to use with the other way, which is the query builder, which is another way of returning the data from the database. All right. Now I'm gonna go to my home.blade.php, and let's use here a loop. So after the row, I'm gonna create my loop. So let's put up my loop down to here, and after that I'm gonna use end for each. So let's DD that, and I'm gonna show you that we have our all the products. So I use a dump and die and refresh that. We have 4 arrays of products. So everything you see inside your attributes. So we have our very much 6 products, and these are all the attributes that we needed. So that's where we can, and we pass it to the view. That's what we already have inside our home.blade.php because we are using the home page, and I displayed everything. Now we need to access dynamically every single product. So what I'm gonna do here is using the so we pass the key, and the name of the column, which is image, and I need to do it with the same case for my title. Let's put up here key dash title, right? So we are good for the images. Let's refresh this, and you see now we have our 6 products displayed on our main home page. And I think so most of the cases you learn a lot of stuff from my videos. So you can go step by step watching those tutorials. You can understand how we can dynamically display the products on our page, right? So we are done with that. Now next we need to go inside a controller, and as long as I type something here, so we can search the product according to the result that we needed. So I'm gonna do is to go to my routes, which I will go to routes. So I believe first go to the main.js, or we need to do is to first create the detail page as well, because I need to have my detail page as well. So let's create the product underscore detail dot blade.php, and inside product dot underscore detail dot php I'm gonna display the information about the detail information about the product. So what I did here is so inside your product underscore detail.php, I'm going to do the same thing which I did in my home.blade.php. So let's grab it all. So I copy that and I extend my master, include the section, and let's end the section. Inside I'm going to create my container, container. Right, inside container I'm going to create a row, and I'm creating here two basically divs. First, which I don't need that, but I'm just creating that for some space, so call dash lg dash 3, and down to that I'm gonna create another div which the name of dot call that lg dash 9. Alright, so we created a card and we give it the empty dash 4 margin top 4, and we created an image source with the class of card dash img dash top, and inside that I'm gonna pass my source here, source which I later on add up here. And next after that I'm creating a card dash body. So let's create a body, and inside body we have our title, so let's give it the title name, and we have our h4 for the heading where I'm gonna display my price. Let's give it 32 for now, and inside the title I'm gonna put my product name here, and for the description after the h4 I'm gonna put my p, and let's give it the class of card dash text, and give it the, and let's pass some lorem text here. So if you're using VS Code, all you need to do is to just lorem and just do that. Right, so we are good for now, and let's do it for our controller. So now we need to search our product. So what I'm gonna do here in my case, let's create the function with the name of, we already have our JavaScript here. So let's create some JavaScript inside your main.js. And what I'm gonna do here is, let's create the $document.ready function. So I created a function, and inside that function we have our button. Let's suppose as long as I click on here, which I believe should be home.blade.php, and let's create the ID. I get this ID and display it up here, get search product. So as long as I click on that function, so we click on the function, and afterwards we have our product that I need to show. So variable product, we need to get the value of our product. So let's do it with the search underscore product, which I believe, so whatever I need to type here, we can return using this product. So once I click on this button, so this is the click even, as long as I can, and I'm gonna show you both outputs here, so don't worry about that. So .val, let's give it the console.log and put here the product here, and I also need to give it the alert, which alert shows us that our event clicked successfully. Let's put up here clicked, and go back to the page and refresh this, and I need to inspect this out and go to my console. Now let's type up something. Let's suppose if I type here banners and try to submit that, you see it's a click even, it's work, and okay, and whatever we type up here, that's going to display to the console. So we are good with that now. Okay, so we are done with the alert. We are clicking and we are getting the value what we needed. And now I'm going to pass here the Ajax request, which is $.ajax, because I need no page refreshing. So inside that, I'm going to do is so what I'm going to do here is, we have our type with the request of, we have our get request. So let's pass up here the request, which is the get request, and pass the URL, and give it the get underscore product, and we pass the value what we need to search for. So we concatenate that, and let's pass it the success function after the successful response. So I give it the so in case if our product doesn't if what we are searching and it's not included, so I'm gonna pass here some object. So data dot not underscore exists. So basically that's coming from the controller, from the response that I will create after that. So I'm gonna create some notification, a custom notification. So what I'm going to do is to copy it from my previous code, and basically this is the notification div. It's just like a box. That's where we can display the results. So if there's no any product exists, so that's gonna show the text on the div and also the background, which is color red. So that pop up that everything which we have is not working successfully. And else, if on the other case, if that product is available, so let's go back to the detail page which we have created, but we haven't created any route for that, which I'm going to create that after that. Okay, so let's first create the div which we have created, which I talk about with you. So I copied it from my validation notification. Let's pass up to the style.css and copied it up here, right? So inside notification div we have our z index, so display on the top of our screen, display none. We don't need to display until we don't have this div call, or whatever you say. So font weight 450, width, position, and we give it the padding of 5 pixel, 20 pixel, top, right, left, bottom. Alright, so we are good with that for the div, and now you could understand, as long as the response doesn't exist, product doesn't exist, so this one results us the product not exist. So we are good with that, and next I'm gonna do is to create the route for that. So in case we have to, so first create the product underscore detail. So what I'm going to do is to go inside my web.php, and let's create a route of get request. And inside the get request, I'm going to pass here is get underscore detail. So get underscore product. We pass up here. We also have the name of the product. But in our case, I'm going to pass here product. So let's going to pass up here, and the name of the controller, in my case, is home controller. And we created that. And the controller name should be because we are getting the product, so let's create the function with the name of getting product. All right, so we created that, and let's go into the home controller and create the getting product function. So I created a function, public function, and the name of the function, which in our case is getting product. We have to pass the parameter which we have passed into our route. So let's create the parameter with the name of product. So getting product, let's just compare that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we have to do is to product, we need to search the product. So I'm using here product, we name of the model, which is a product, and inside where clause we need to search the product according to the title. We pass title here, then we have our like request, which matches everything that is into our in our database. So let's pass up here, and this means that everything which from the starting into the till to the ending, that's going to match with our record. So let's put up there and put some dots for the concatenation and do the same thing right there, percentage. So just after that, let's pass the matching record, which is $product, and we need to do is to, for now we need to get the only one record. So I'm using here first. So whatever the result matches, we don't need a collection. We need only the first. Return the row which we have, which we searched for. So if that product exists, right? If that product exists, and then echo its ID. We need the product ID, whatever the ID we search for. So let's grab its ID. And in other case, as I explained, oops, sorry about that. As I explained that if the product doesn't matches, so we need to return response into our JSON. Oops, absolutely. Alright, so let's put up here JSON, and response should be not underscore exist. And you need to remember that basically this is the response. It should be inside the JSON. Sorry about that, because we need to return the response in the JSON format into, and I pass the value that data not found. And as long as you keep remember that, because we are using keys values wait, so we need to bring that into the straight brackets, right? If I saves it, everything works well. So basically this not underscore exist is that, which is the object what we return from and pass up here in case if the data or the product, it's good to have product not found. All right, so next I'm gonna do is to let's create a product detail page. So public function product underscore detail, which definitely each product must have some ID. So we need to pass the ID inside here. So let's first go into the routes. Let's create the product detail page. So we get the get request because we're returning the view, and we also passing up the ID here. And the reason why I'm creating the ID, because every single product must have its own detail. So I'm putting up the ID here, right? I hope it makes sense to everyone, right? And next we have our function controller name and the name of the function, which I want to have same, right? It's all up to you, whatever the name of the function that you need to create. So inside home controller, we have created the function already. Let's pass up the ID here, and because we need to find the single ID, we are using Eloquent, which is a find function, which I hope most of you guys understand. So that's going to return the ID, whatever the ID that whatever the product that we clicked for, which we later on I'm going to pass inside the button that we have created for routing to the main product detail page, right? So let's return the view for the page, which should be same product underscore detail, right? So let's pass up here, and we need to pass to our page. So I'm using dash with here. So let's pass up here product and $product. All right, so as I explained inside home.blade.php, because we have to go to the individual search page. All right, I hope it makes sense to everyone, that because we need to go to our main page, and you have both the options, or you can click on the search product, and that's gonna directly give access to it, your controller. If it doesn't make sense, it's fine, still it's okay, because I have to create a function of fetch. But before creating the function for the fetch, I'm gonna do one more step into our JavaScript. We have to search, and we need to show all the results. What I have to say, that we need to show only as soon as the result matches, which is inside my search underscore product, which is, so whatever I type, it show us the autocomplete factor. So for that, I'm gonna go to my JavaScript, and let's create that up first. So just after that, so let's create here the search underscore product. So as long as I keep typing, as long as I key up the function, which it means that until I don't release it, I release it, and it's gonna show us the matching product that we have in our database, which is definitely the title that we are searching for, right? So we are using the key up, and inside key up, I'm gonna pass my callback as a function, and inside function we have our query variable. So as long as whatever the value, whatever we keep the complete object, so whatever the value that we type, and if it's empty, right, if it's completely empty, so if query is not equal to empty, so in that case it means that if it's not empty, we have some value. So we are passing up a token, as I explained, that we pass up inside our master. So let's grab the token value. So just pass like that. So input name equal to underscore token. That's going to give us the value of the token. Now we have to get the URL as well. So I created a variable with the name of autocomplete /fetch, and I created a variable. It makes a bit elegant way. You can also pass up into the URL like that I did it before, but that's what I usually do. So I pass up here a URL. As I explained, you can pass up that complete into our URL, or you can do like that way. So which I believe it's a more elegant way. So the method now in our case should be post. Let's pass up here and give it the data, and pass up the query that we have, and also I need to pass one more object which should be underscore token, the token value. So I pass up here, and after the data, once we have success, so if we have our successful function, pass up all the data that we have just generated. So let's do that, and inside here is I want to show the product list. So basically we have created inside the home.play.php, we need to display all the matching records. So I pass here the product list that all matches up. So I'm using here a jQuery effect, so it's fade in, and all the results that we grab here, and let's show up into our HTML data. Alright, so I hope you guys it makes sense to all. Right, so let's go back and refresh this page and go to your inspect just to see everything works well. It shows up an error here, and let's see what's gonna be. It's an invalid shorthand property inside main.js. Method equal to post, which I believe is should be colon, right? So yeah, it should be colon right here. Okay, so let's refresh this, and now we are done with the error. And let's put up here banners stand, and it's giving us the right error because we haven't created a function here. So let's create a function first. So all I'm gonna do is to go to my function, which is a post request. So remember, so I'm going to put up here post request. So route. It should be route colon post request, and let's pass up here fetch. We are creating a controller, and with the name of the function name to be fetch. Alright, so let's go into the home controller and create a function with the name of fetch. So public function fetch. We are getting the request that we need for. So let's pass up here the request. Inside, if we get some request, so if request, if we get the request as a query, because whatever we return for, it's going to show us the autocomplete effect. So if we get that, so let's get this query. If we get the query, let's get the query, and we have created a variable get all the tables product, and we need to where the title matches with the record and get all the matching results. So now here we are using the get method because we need all the, as long as the characters, as long as the title matches, it's gonna show us all the matching results. So next I'm gonna create here is the output. So let's create that, and here inside the output variable I concatenate some I need to close that too. So just after that I closed my UL, I closed my div. Inside div here we have a filter dashbox. That's a class I gave. We need the UL. So we need a drop down, like the results which matched up is show to our drop down. So what I do here, we concatenate that using output variable and display it to the li. After uli, we know that after uli we have the li as a child. We give it the anchor, and as long as we click on the title, that's going to pass up to the main product detail page which matched up. Alright, so let's echo this output here and see. So echo $output and saves it. Let's see what it's going to return. So let's refresh this. And if I type here banner stands, it doesn't work. So let's go to the inspect console. It shows that 404 not found. So actually it means we have an issue with our route. So if I go up here, which is the fetch request, and if inside that we passed our, yeah, we have passed here is autocomplete slash fetch. So I need to pass that into the post request, not that fetch actually, because we haven't passed the URL, right? So let's refresh this and type here banners stands, and it's gonna shows up an error 419 which says token mismatch error, right? So we have our token mismatch error, which actually have to, if I go to the controller, which is fine. If I go to the main.js file and we pass up the token, and inside home.blade.php we need to pass up the CSRF token, because while we have our, whenever we have 419, that actually means we have to, as I explained, that we need to have our token pass whenever we have our post request. So I'm gonna go to my home.blade.php, and just after the product list, let's put up the CSRF token, and let's see what it does now. So let's refresh this, and I'm gonna open up my console again, and let's type here banners. So you see that it's gonna now it's gonna show me the result, but it's really horrendous, because I haven't applied any CSS, so it's working. That's cool. It's gonna make more sense once I style something. So let's go into the style.css, add some CSS properties. That's what I generate. So I already have my form dashboard. So let's put up the okay, here in my case I use here item filter dashbox, give some margin to the top and margin top from the item boxes, so there's some space between the filter and the boxes. I give it the padding to the drop down and some box shadows, so it could look so identical. Every product looks identical in the drop down list. So let's refresh this and let's try that again. So banner stands, and it still look very poor to me. So we have our error right to the, actually I need to bring this down to this div, which is the form dash script, so it looks more better. So that was the issue actually. So just place that up down there, and one more thing I need to add up here, we have our, not the item dash box, it should be item dash boxes, right? So this is gonna give me some margin to the top, which is my 18 pixels, right? So now you could see that it goes down, and now let's search for the product. So let's gonna search for the banner stand. So if I'm gonna type B here, for instance, so you see we have a two product, which is the banner stand and the brochure. So let's suppose if I want here brochures, so let's type BRO for brochures, and I need another functionality. Once I click on this, it's gonna display up onto my text field. So in order to do that, we need to write some JavaScript here. So let's go into our JS, and inside the main.js, actually just after the HTML data that we just passed here, let's create a document, and as long as we click on it and we click on the document, and with the name of li, so let's type here, we have the li. Inside that you see you see that inside li we have a title, right? So that's what it displayed, and we need a function as long as I type something. So let's create the search underscore product, the ID, that's what we have for our input field. So let's pass up here, and we need to display the value. So let's pass here dot val, the function, and whatever the text we have, so dollar this dot text. So that's the best way of doing it. And we need some effect as well. So let's put some fade out effect. So I'm just gonna copy it up and paste up down here, right? So we have our product list, and inside product list, which is basically the list that is going to display, and that's going to fade out once we are done with the text. So let's gonna do and refresh this. So let's refresh that and go to the banners stands, and there you see if I click on up here, and that's going to put up inside an input field. And now if I want to submit that, that's going to bring us to the detail page. Alright, so one thing which is actually missing inside the product detail page is the image. I don't know why it's not showing up, or yeah, we haven't passed up the product detail image. So in order to pass that, all you need to do is to do the same trick that we done into our home.blade. There's only a difference that we need to pass only the individual values, which actually is coming from the product underscore detail function. We pass up the ID, and on base of the ID we are going to return the view. So now we have our, on base of the ID we have our results. So that ID is actually coming from here. It's /1, which is the product ID 1. And let's go and make that dynamic. So in order to make this dynamic, I'm going to remove that, and let's put up the product, which is coming from the controller you see up here. And we pass up the image, and we need to pass up the name as well, which is the where we have the column title. Let's pass up here, and let's pass up the price as well, which is the h4 tag. We pass up the price, and let's put up the paragraph for dynamically. So I pass up the text description, right? So let's go back and refresh this, and you see now we have the image, we have the title, we have the price, we have the description. So everything works absolutely awesome, right? So let's go and search for the rigid signs, and let's suppose I type a rigid. As long as I type rigid, it's going to display rigid signs, and I click on the submits button. So that's going to show me only the results for the rigid signs, right? So that is pretty good. All right, so let's search for the banner. Let's suppose if I just remove everything, right? I remove the input field. It's giving me the suggestions. If I click outside of the input field, I need that to be closed up. So let's write some JavaScript for this. So that makes our application real awesome. So let's go into our main.js file, and I'm gonna do is here is let's inside the document, or I don't need that document to be loaded. So let's create an input variable const input, and let's write here document dot query selector, or you can use here any DOM property, which is the document dot get element by ID. It's all up to you. So I'm happy with the query selector. So I'm using here search product as an ID, which is actually again the input field, which I'm going to show up here, input type. So once I'm inside the input, let's add the even listener. So input dot add even listener. So I need that blur effect. So blur effect is something when we comes out of the input field. So when it's a blur, and we need to pass a function, and inside function we have our even. So when this even is triggered, so let's create a variable and set that to be trigger. So trigger equal to dropdown. So you see we have a dropdown class inside the controller that we write into it. So whenever we pass something, it's going to show inside that div, and we have a class of dropdown dash menu. So what I'm gonna do here is, or what I'm gonna do here is, yeah, let's pick up this filter dash box for now, right? So I'm gonna pass here the filter dash box, and if that trigger, so if that triggers is not equal to the event target that we need to click on. So event dot target is all the events that it will grab the class of it. So if it's not equal to that class, or it has event target, or it has some length which is not available, right? So we have it says that, let's put up some, and so it checks the both condition. So what actually it checks for, so if the trigger is not equal to that even target, or it has a length which is not equal to that, so we need that drop down menu to be slide up. So let's pass up here, right? It's very simple, right? And for the other case, I need to do is to let's pass up the input dot add even listener, and we need the focus. So focus actually works when we click on the input field. So let's pass up there, and in that case we need that to be slide toggle, right? So let's put that up here, or you can use the hide and show method, which usually is the best way, right? So let's gonna do and refresh this and see it works or not. So I type here banner stand, I click out, you see it's vanished out. Let's type B, it shows two options. So until and unless I click on here, I click on this value, submits that, and it works very well, right? So that's the main purpose of the I hope you really learn a lot of stuff, and the best way of learning is to learn from all the way out. So you have learned 4 to 3 different things. You learn about how to show the products on the main home page dynamically from the database. Secondly, you learn the how to search the product, and then after searching the product you also learn another way, which is the autocomplete way, right? So you click on it, you learn some document and some few jQuery or JavaScript ways to trigger out the event. Let's suppose if I click out, that's gonna display out the remove the drop down menu once we are out of the document, but as soon as I click on the input field, that's going to show up all the results. So that is something which is incredibly awesome, and you can learn from you can hardly find these great tutorials. So I request all of the viewers, those who watch that video, so please leave a like and subscribe, and to give us some boost and energy to make more videos like this. So thank you for watching, and I want to see you for with the best video for the next time.